she is a Grammy winner. She is the reigning queen of rock. She's my queen. And you know what? She is like one of the best people in music. I am talking about the one, the only Lzzy Hale. When I see your face, I just get in a good mood. Why is this? Why does this happen whenever I see your face?
Well, you are so sweet because my reaction is the same. I've been looking forward to seeing your face for a long time, and when this came up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm going to be talking to Terrie. I think that, you know, in lieu of kind of what we were talking about off camera here, you know, it's been such a crazy time, and I feel like a lot of us we just want to appreciate the people that really make us feel good and appreciate the people that appreciate us and know us for who we are. And you've always been one of those people in my life. So it's just, I don't know, you got to find your joy in the, wherever it lies.
You do. And you know what, you're a comfort zone for me too. Cause while there are so many questions I wanted to ask you, I always feel very safe interviewing you, cause I feel like we're just going to have a good time. It's going to be a hang. And that's what interviews are for me. It's like, I'm not looking for my Barbara Walters moment. I just want to hang. I want to get that real comfort feeling with somebody. And I know that you're going to be one of those people. And of course, I want to start by talking about the record, which we get on May 6th, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Back from the Dead. So I'm hearing from what I'm hearing from Back from the Dead and the Steeple, very battle cry, very, you know, this is going to be a heavy duty record. Now, I was surprised to read that a lot of it was done pre-COVID. So was it done pre-COVID and then sort of you guys kind of tinkered with it a little bit?
It's interesting, the journey, because we started writing for this record pre-COVID. And then we threw a lot away, honestly, because after the world kind of changed and we went through this whole period of time where like we couldn't see each other, all the tours had been canceled. There was an uncertain future. We didn't know whether we were going to even get into the studio. And all of those songs we were writing kind of pre-COVID were very unimportant to me. So I kind of just like put them, maybe we'll hear some of them as like some B-sides and everything later. We're getting the mixes back for that now. But I don't know. It's like what ended up happening in the middle of it all was we were writing very much in the moment and in the now. And Back from the Dead was literally the first song that we're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want to say if I ever get on a stage again. And then with our, you know, latest single, The Steeple, you know, I'm talking about community and survival and what all of this actually means, and just rediscovering why I really, really, really love music. And not that I've ever taken it for granted before, but when it is suddenly stolen from you and this thing that is 95% of your life is like gone, and then you're like, well, what do I do? And so what ended up happening on this album is that this is a true reflection of the journey that, at least I can say for me personally, that I had to go through to get to the other side. And because there was nothing else, and believe me, that hole cannot be filled by anything else, because there was nothing else that I could do. I had to put all of that energy into these songs. And this is the first album, Terrie, I'm telling you, this is the first album ever that while we were actually recording it, I'm like, oh, I already know the moments. I know where people are going to put their fist in the air. I know where they're going to join in with the chorus. I know when they're going to raise their horns. I know when they're going to jump up and down. And that has never happened to me. Usually it's like, we record the songs, we're like, okay, we're going to go out and tour, and then we're going to figure it out. You know, and so the silver lining of it all is that we came up with this amazing record, and I think it's probably the most cohesive record that we have. It's a banger. There are 2 ballads on it because I cannot leave you without without my cheesy love ballads. So
well, and everybody loves those heartfelt Lzzy moments too. And you had said too that I read, and you're not the only person, because I've spoken to people about this where you felt like you had a little bit of an identity crisis too. I've had artists tell me I felt so unimportant. I felt like the things that were so important to me that I was saying that I thought people were connecting with all of a sudden didn't matter anymore. And that period of time was a little more difficult for you than probably you even knew going in.
That's a really good way to put it. I may steal that in the future, because that is exactly how I felt at some point in time. I didn't feel everything that I had worked toward. I cite this band as helping me come out of my shell, as we've talked about before in our interviews. I call myself a reformed introvert. I was a very shy kid. Now my parents are like, what? Like my parents actually just told me this story. Apparently there was like in first grade, we had a fire drill, and I wouldn't yell for the firemen to come and get, like, they were trying to teach us to like yell if you're like in a corner, so like, hey, I'm over here because there's a fire, and I wouldn't do it. And they had to like call my parents and be just like, you have to like teach your child to
I keep hearing the end of the steeple now, though, with that really
right?
long,
I know. So even
cry,
my parents are like, was that even really you back in the day? But I cite this band with really giving me a lot of that confidence and really becoming a form of my identity. And so, yeah, exactly. Like when that is gone, you're like, who am I? Who am I without any of this? And also, and like you said, does any of it matter? I had built it up for so long. And then all of a sudden I'm just kind of stuck with kind of the girl that I hadn't seen in a long period of time, where it's like, oh, wow, I don't know how this is going to go, because I have known since I was 13 years old when we first started Halestorm. I've known exactly what I want to do. As long as I'm moving forward, even if there are mistakes that are made, that's okay. And we didn't have any option. So yeah, I went through a bit of an identity crisis, and definitely bouts of, as we all have, anxiety and depression, and trying not to drink before 4 p.m. It's like one of those things that we've all gone through. And so
yeah, we can all relate to that. We can all relate. Yeah.
So so I feel like on this album, I think a lot of people are going to see themselves in it, only because I had no choice but to be honest and just write my stories. So
Yeah, and that's why I'm looking so forward to it, because the first two tunes I was just like, yes. And then when we got the steeple, I mean, it's just, and you've always been so masterful with lyrics too. And
there's
you take not only from your own experiences, but I've often found that some songs, you're very connected with the fans on social media, and you take sort of from fan experiences, because I can hear that, in some of the music. So does this record sort of follow that path as well, to just sort of look at the observances of life?
absolutely. I think that there was a lot of things personally that saved me. And one of them was our community that we have with our fans. And, I know everybody says that, everybody says this, but we absolutely have the best fans in the world. I, I stalk them even when I'm not responding. And obviously they tag me and everything. And any given moment, I will go online on any of my socials, and somebody will say, hey, I'm kind of struggling today, or I'm having a dark time. And everybody will literally pounce on them, just like, hey, DM me. Hey, you're not alone. I'm going through this too. Let's talk about it. I can't tell you off the top of my head how many lives have probably been saved by this community. But they've done that all themselves. I'm just a host of the party. Uh, but there is one specific song, and I won't necessarily say the title yet, because I kind of want her to figure it out for herself. But there was a very trying situation that I was in. It wasn't my situation. It was this young girl. She's in 8th grade, and she's a fan of ours. And she just came out as gay, and her parents were having a very hard time with it. And so she was brave enough to kind of open up to a couple different people on my socials, including myself. And as hard as it is for me to say, I have to say it. I guess the parents' response to her coming out as gay was, well, death would be better. And I can't imagine, I know how I felt in 8th grade as a weirdo that loved Alice Cooper when everybody loved the Backstreet Boys. I know what it's like to already have that, but then to not have the support of your parents for something that you truly are was ridiculous. So I ended up taking this conversation into one of our writing sessions, and we wrote this song that is not a ballad. It is a banger, because I wanted to write her this anthem that not only says, please take everything that nobody understands about you and make it into your superpower. But also, I am just like you. I am just like you. And I went through it, and I have come out on the other side. I still have dark times and dark days and everything, but if I can do it, so can you. You're in 8th grade, I'm 38. It's like there is a other side to that tunnel. So I'm hoping that she figures it out. If she doesn't, I'll definitely end up hinting after the record is released. But
that's incredible. That's and how empowered she will feel after that, when she needs to feel empowered more than ever.
I hope so. And I did inform her of that, because I told her that she was going through something else later related to that. And I'm like, hey, just so you know, literally the day after we had that conversation, something magical happened, and I think it's going to go on the record. And so she's been bugging me lately. She's like, which one is it? Like,
that is huge. That is awesome.
But it's important for me, because the inspiration comes full circle. It's like, yeah, sure. I'm the one that gets up there and writes songs and sings and plays and has a good time and whatever, and is, like I said, the host of the party. But these kids and the letters that they write to me, and I would have never thought I'd be in that position when I was 13 all those years ago, when I just wanted to rock. And so it's just such a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Yeah. And I want to also talk about, speaking of empowerment, so 13 years since the debut. After the debut record, it is my experience that, you have really escalated the advancement of women in music. We've had people that have helped to, we say, breaking down the barriers and breaking down the doors. And for a lot of people that don't know, it is not easy for women in music, and has not been easy. And I have seen sort of an escalation of women now being able to get on the rock charts, have #1 records. Look at what Nita Strauss is doing. My God, she's an amazing guitar player, and she has a #1 record with Dead Inside. First time, I think, ever, for a female instrumentalist to be #1 on the rock charts. So we're starting to see the advancement pick up, and be at a pace that's actually not like, well, we have 2 women on the playlist and we can't play any more women on the playlist. And I look back to some of the ladies that came out in the 90s, because we had some cool bands in the 90s, and they always got, crapped upon. Bands like L7 and the Breeders and Veruca Salt, and look at Alanis. How many records did Alanis Morissette sell? Like 40 million or something, out of the box. And then everybody's like, well, where do we put her? So Lzzy, I don't know if you know, but you're somebody who's really sort of helped, almost like an escalator that people can get on and just get up that hill a little bit more quickly.
Well, I really appreciate that. I do feel that in a lot of ways, and I'm extremely humbled by it, because I remember what it was like to, not be the one either expected to be in the band, or when people figure out you're in the band, like, well, you're just the girl in the band and we don't know where, or when we were shopping for labels, well, we don't know where to put you. When we're trying to put ourselves on the radio, it's like, well, we've already got one. Those situations that those different tiers that I've been in, over the years, it's just so beautiful to see so many women that are in this industry, and not just women musicians. I'm seeing more. It's female tour managers, lighting directors, sound engineers, producers. There's been such an influx, and it's such a wonderful time to be alive as a woman, because everybody wants that. And now to take that one step further, and this is just from my personal experience, we have gotten, since we started doing like a lot of women showcasing, all of the promoters, that is what they want now, because now they're figuring out, like, oh wait, this is where the audience is, this is what people actually want to see.
I love that.
The other thing from being, so I work with Gibson guitars, and their stats have been amazing. Apparently the last 2 years, that the majority of the people that are buying new guitars are female. And so it's just wonderful to just see the encouragement, and see everybody just understanding that this, especially in rock music, this genre that we love so much. It is completely genderless. This is something that we just love. This is why we're here. We want to get up here. We want to rock. We're not doing it because our boyfriend wants to. We're not doing it because, whatever, we're going to pretty up the band. It's just part of our soul. And I'm seeing that in the audience, and I'm seeing that on stage, and I'm seeing
and on
that
your tour. Look at the
in
tour. We just had you at Prudential Center, and you had Plush out for the first part of the tour, and then
they're so good.
And here's what I love: the two artists are so different. Plush is a little more gritty, like remind me of a young Runaways. I got my Runaway shirt on. And then Lilith is so artistic, and I've had them both on Zooms with me, because I'm such a supporter of women in music, and I love that there was an arena tour, and everybody on the bill was a female fronted band. I mean, it was just incredible.
This was a conversation that Amy Lee and I had early on, because we really wanted to give both of those artists just a shot. And I believe that it was both of those artists' first tour. I know that Lilith Zara had done some tours as Juliet Sim, but it was just so cute to you're literally walking through the halls. Everybody's masked up, everybody's trying to stay safe, but you're walking through the halls, and there's just so much laughter and love, and with Plush they would be so, but it was just so beautiful to just oh my gosh, we have chips and there's vegetables, and I don't know, it's the little things that I remember being wow, we get deer, those kind of things when you're on tour. And so and by the way, those Plush girls are shredders.
I know, crazy.
We would get up after them every night and be like, guys, we gotta practice, it's just so, it was so inspiring. So it's great to be out with people that inspire you and be able to actually show that unity and support toward each other.
Yeah, we were so happy to have you in Jersey at Prudential Center, and it was so sad for people when you guys had to postpone the show, but it wasn't postponed for long. So that was the beauty of it, And I had Amy on right before, and I said the beauty of this is that the show would have already happened. So now we've got something to look forward to. What is it, 3 weeks down the line? And it was great. So thank you for making that happen for people so quickly. And they didn't have to wait till 2023. Everybody was just so jazzed up and excited and ready to see you. And it was just such a monster show and a great, great, great tour. And it was such a tough time to tour. So congratulations for getting through that as well. And The Steeple is an amazing tune. I cannot wait to see what we get next. We get Back from the Dead on the 6th of May, and I love you. It is always amazing to catch up with you. Thank you so much for taking the time. You look incredible, and I love that jacket. I keep eyeing up that
thank
jacket.
you. I'm Rob Halfording today.
Nobody better,
right?
Right? There's nobody better than the metal god. You're the metal goddess. You're the rock goddess. And Lzzy, how long have we known each other? And every time I chat with you, it's like I just saw you the day before, and it's always a pleasure to have you on. Love you.
Well, Han, you're my sister from another mister, and thank you so much for always taking the time for me. And I cannot wait to embrace you in person. It's going to be awesome.
Too. Big hugs.
Very long hug. Be prepared.
DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Karis Lock Company, your full-service locksmith, and Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway.